Welcome back to MI Tesla Guy. It is a little dark because it is 7:52 in the morning and we're coming into the winter season, so it's still dark out. We have been up since 4 o'clock this morning. You may wonder why. It is our first road trip in our Model X. If you have not yet watched the video of us picking that up, it is very exciting. I will drop a link to that in the description down below. But we are taking the first road trip today in the Model X. We are on our way. We're going to bring you along with us, and we will have much more once we actually have some light. So we'll see you soon. All right, so sorry about the poor quality of that prior video. Light is a very important feature for good quality video. Anyway, we are at the Tesla Supercharger on the south side of Lansing, Michigan. This has been in our videos before, so I'll show you around the Supercharger here momentarily, but first I want to get plugged in. It's the first time that we've supercharged the car, so we are going to get it plugged in, and we'll see what it'll do. We're still at 56%, but based on planning out this road trip, there's nothing really right on our way, and I didn't really want to veer too much off the track. This one is right off the highway on the way there, so we stopped at this one. Probably going to charge it up to like 90%, and with the range on this car, it comes standard with 350 miles. Obviously, real world's not going to be 350 miles, but it is one where we could have actually gotten all the way to Detroit and still had 15% remaining is what the in-car navigation was predicting, and that was with a 90% charge. My theory, which we will find out if it's true here in a moment, is if we get it back up to 90% charge, I think we get all the way to Detroit and back to this supercharger if need be. I don't know that we're going to get all the way to Detroit and then all the way back home, although that would be really cool. I've heard that the Model X, especially the newer ones, really rip when it comes to charging speed. Of course, we're at 56% state of charge, like I mentioned earlier, so we're not going to get super good charge rates, but we'll see what we can get. All right, so funny story, because I'm used to a Model 3 and Model Y, I'm looking at this screen right here, and I'm like, okay, so where do I find my charge rate? I don't see my charge rate anywhere. And then I realized, oh, wait a second. There's a center screen, and that's where the charge rate is. So 132 kilowatts when you're at 58% state of charge. Honestly, I don't think that's too terribly bad, and it's still, I can hear it still winding up. So it says we got 25 minutes to get to 90%. For now, I'm just going to show you around the supercharger location real quick. All right, so like many of the locations in Michigan, this one is at a Meijer, and then here is the actual stall. Sorry, I'm distracted. I love this ultra red color. You can see it almost looks like a maroon right now, and it's just amazing how much of a more red tinge it takes when the sun's out. Anyway, here's the supercharging location. 12 stalls at this location. We are all alone this morning, which isn't shocking at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. Up over there, you got a Culver's, and here you've got a Big B Coffee, and then you've got a Meijer gas station over there. You got some choices, and then if you go across the way over here, it's a little bit iffy to get over there. You got some other dining locations, and then there's some more shopping across the way, a Harbor Freight Tools. So all in all, pretty good location. Better than a lot we've been to. Not as good as some that we've been to. So I'm gonna go over, get myself a soda, and we will check in with you before we get back on our way to Detroit. All right, well, it just dawned on me that I completely forgot to cover efficiency, which I typically do on road trips. So you can see here, we went 74 miles on that initial drive, took just over an hour, and efficiency was 395 watt hours per mile. I don't know if that's good or bad in a Model X. I know in our Model Y Performance, in this kind of temperature right now, it's 48 degrees, so it was actually low 40s on the way here. I would have probably expected 330 to 340 with that temperature, and the battery was preconditioning literally from about 10 minutes after we got started on the road trip until we got to the charger. Right now, we are going to be getting ready to get on the road and finish up the trip to Detroit, again, for our son's state marching band competition at Ford Field, home of the Detroit Lions, who actually are doing quite well this year, which is interesting. All right, we're going to get some initial thoughts so far. We just got done with the supercharger in Lansing, and we are on our way to Detroit. So let's get your initial thoughts on the road trip. So what do you think? And actually, this is her car, so she's the one who's been driving it to work the most. So what are your thoughts on the Model X so far?
It's very roomy. I love all of the leg room and all of the space to spread out. Big fan of that. And it rides really smooth, so I like that too.
That is, to me, the first thing that I noticed. It rides really, really smooth. Roads in Michigan are not the best, and in particular on her drive to work every single day, on her commute there, it's almost like constantly going over a railroad track for this one portion of road. So literally it goes the entire time.
It's charming.
And so in ours, in the Model Y Performance, in mine, even though I took off the 21-inch wheels and I went to the Gemini's, the 19-inch, and to get kind of a better ride to it, it's still a little jarring. And it really is in most cars. I don't know that I've experienced any car over that stretch of road that doesn't have you kind of going like this.
The biggest thing for me is the doors. The struggle is real.
Yeah, she's still...
I can't even tell you how many times I've hit myself in the head, or can't figure out how to shut the door, or yeah, the struggle is real there, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, Falcon Wing door, especially in the garage. I haven't read the manual yet, and I haven't watched the YouTube videos. Shame on me. That will show me how to do this. But my understanding is, like, you can pull in the garage, and by default, they're not going to raise all the way up there because they don't want to bump into your garage or anything like that. But with how our garage is set up, we don't. I mean, we have enough clearance. I can open them all the way, both in the trunk and on the Falcon Wings. But there's some way that it'll kind of remember your GPS location and know, oh wait, we're here, so I can open all the way, even though in theory I'm inside. I just haven't figured out yet, so I'll have to work on that. She's also struggling with the automatic front doors when it comes to closing it, because they're very resistive when you close them, because they want to do it for you.
They kind of remind me of the kitchen drawer, the drawers in your house that you can do that are like soft close.
Soft
You have
close.
to, like, give them a shove.
Well, they are soft close.
I know.
So what I tend to do is I'll get out and I'll just hit the door latch, but what do you call that? The door open button, which will actually automatically close it, and then I just walk away from the car and it closes it. But
I think I don't hit it hard enough, or like I have to like hold the door and then hit it, and that just seems like a lot of work.
she'll figure it out.
It'll work itself out.
One thing I will say that I thought would be a bigger issue for me than it is the whole turn signals and your controls on the steering wheel. It of course is a little awkward if you're in the middle of a turn, but if you're in the middle of a turn, shouldn't your turn signal have already been on?
I do think the steering wheel is a weird, so we did not get the yoke, we got the steering wheel. It's a weird shape. It's almost yoke-esque at the bottom and then steering wheel. It's like not a full circle.
Yeah.
So when I'm like turning, it's a little weird when I have to grasp the other, like the bottom part of the wheel, because it's not the same shape. So that's a little wonky.
Yeah, and I would say it's big.
It is big.
It is big, and it's a bigger car. I will say, just my personal impression, I like the feel of the Model Y steering wheel better. I feel like it's a little thicker. Feels a little thin. Both are very high quality. I got no complaints on quality. I would say this is getting really nitpicky. I like on the heated portion of the steering wheel, you get a choice of auto or 1 or 2. I like the number 1 setting on this better than I like it on my Model Y. I feel like on my Model Y, the number 1 setting is almost like not even on. Like it basically keeps the steering wheel from being cold, but it doesn't feel warm at all. In this one, it just feels a little bit warm, which is nice. I mean, November 4th, so we're heading into winter. I always kind of like just having that little bit of warmth. So in the Model Y, I usually keep it on 2 a lot of the time. But in this one, so far in this drive today, I've just kept it on 1. Something I'm still trying to figure out is the screens. As you saw from the footage, I was looking on the big screen for our charge rate, and that's not where it is in this car, because this car has kind of the driver display here, and it was on there.
Love the driver display. We installed one in the Model Y, and the one about that is it blocks the airflow. So it's nice that it's built in, because then the airflow is all integrated.
She doesn't like the sun visors.
Yeah.
My opinion is you just got to get used to them and figure out how they work. I'm pretty much there already. So this is your view. It just goes up like there. So your visor really doesn't have any place to go. So what it does is it magnetizes to this, and then it's a little teeny tiny strip, and then it flips down. I'm not going to show you that while I'm driving, because that's not safe. Okay, so
magnets are really good. So when you're driving, you're like, oh. Yeah.
And then it connects there, and then that flips down. It's just stuff that you're going to get used to, because it is very different from, well, any car you've ever driven before. I've never been in any car that had visors remotely like that, but we'll get used to it at some point. So, all right, well, there you go. Initial impressions. We'll check in with you again when we get to Detroit, kind of see what our efficiency is for that Lansing to Detroit leg of the trip. Hopefully I'll be able to put in some of the band footage because it's pretty fun. And I'll tell you, high school bands, some of them are really, 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 really good. It's pretty amazing. Much better than we were when I was growing up. So, all right, we will check in with you when we get to Detroit. All right, well, we've arrived in Detroit at Ford Field, waiting for some of the bands to cross in front of us. So real quick, I just want to go over efficiency. 90 miles, hour and 30 minutes, because we've been sitting here for 2 minutes, and 319 watt hours per mile. I would say that 319 watt hours per mile is pretty good. That's actually what we see a lot in the Model Y when we're traveling. So we're going to get parked, and we are going to head on into Ford Field and watch the band. Hopefully I'll be able to put some of that footage in here for you to enjoy, and then we will check back in with you once we get back out to the car. We are back from the performance. They finished 6 out of 11?
11, yeah.
Out of 11. So it was really cool.
Our show is entitled 6, and we came in
6th place. 6 after the musical that's out right now.
Next year we're going to be titled 4.
So, yeah, we want to be titled, going to come out with a performance called First.
Number 1.
Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the very little bit of footage I was able to put in on that. We are now heading back home, and we will be hitting that same Lansing Supercharger. All right, we're back at the Lansing Supercharger. Let's turn the camera on here real quick, take a look at the efficiency before we plug in. From Detroit, we were 89 miles, hour 37 minutes. We got stuck in traffic, which you probably saw. 325 watt hour mile, which I don't think is very bad, not for this big of a vehicle. And then from the Lansing Supercharger back to the Lansing Supercharger to Detroit, to Detroit and back to the Lansing Supercharger, 180 miles, 58 kilowatt hours of energy used. 323 watt hours per mile. I did not think that's bad at all. Now, I did want to point out real quick, if you looked at some of the footage that you just saw, kind of the road trip footage, just driving here to get to the Supercharger, you may have seen some trees that were stripped of their limbs and bark and leaves and everything like that. I wanted to make sure to show you that because actually it was probably 5 months ago. Pretty decent tornado went through there. It actually went through that area. That was the north side of the road that you were seeing there. And it actually hopped the highway, went to the south side and kept going for a good 2 to 3 miles. So I just thought that'd be something cool to show you. Get plugged in. We are at a 26% state of charge. So now we will actually get to find out how fast the Model X rips on the charging. And this is the version 3 Supercharger. So it is capable of 250 kilowatts, which we've seen several times actually in our Model Y. And we're getting up there, just crossed 200. Man, it is jumping up there fast. We're going to get it. Oh, we're not. Come on. There it is. 250 kilowatts. Now, I will say, although we have gotten that kind of a charge rate, I think I've maxed out at 257 on our Model Y when I pulled in, I think it was about 15% state of charge. But the difference I noticed on this was how quick it got there. I have not had the Model Y ramp up that much. So we'll see over our time of having this car of if what we just experienced is normal or if it's a fluke. Already, we only need to stay here for 3 minutes. We're going to be here longer than that. We're just going to chill for a little bit. And I'm tired, so I might close my eyes for 5 or 10 minutes. And then we will get back on the road. All right, we are home. All right, since last charge, so from Lansing this time, 87 miles, 27 kilowatt hours, and 306 watt hours a mile. 306 watt hours a mile. I mean, if you have a Tesla Model X, whether it's the prior version or the new refresh version, if you wouldn't mind, drop me down in the comments down below what you typically see for efficiency. 306 watt hours per mile, that is right about where we were with our Model Y when it had the performance wheels and tires on it. So I would say for a vehicle that, I mean, this isn't massively bigger than our Model Y, but it's a decent amount bigger than the Model Y. I think that is really impressive efficiency. That is the road trip, and I will say this thing road trips really, really well. So I look forward to future road trips where we're going a little bit further, and I will do my best to document those as well so we can share them with you. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and throw us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see future videos. And if you have any fun comments or anything else you'd like to share, please just drop it down below. I love chatting with you down there, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.